Hey everyone, the name is Kris Barocsi. Welcome to Gear Corner. Today, I want to show you a brand new drive pedal that flies us back like, what, 30 years in time? Oh no, it's more like 40. It's the 80 Master by Formula B. Short housekeeping before we get into the 80 Master. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy what you're seeing. You can hit thumbs up, that would be absolutely amazing. And check out the description box under the video. If you open it up, you'll find timestamps, gear links, my signal chain, and all kinds of additional info. So let's get into this. Formula B, it's an Italian brand, and they make one of the finest pedals ever. They have all sorts of stuff. Like the last thing I was really hyped about, never got to try it though, but I hope I will, was their Univibe pedal. And everything I've heard was spot on. So obviously I was really excited when they contacted me to do a review on the 80 Master, and it did not disappoint at all. It's a drive pedal that gives you a, well, British voiced 80s type drive sound. And before you think it's just gonna be your how to sound like Whitesnake or how to sound like whichever 80s band, it does give much more. Like, even if you're not into the 80s guitar tones, this still works so well because of three little things on the pedal that make it, first of all, fit any amp, and second of all, any style really. I'm talking about these two mini toggles, the 50-100 watt toggle, the comp, the compression toggle, and the modeling knob, which is not an amp modeling, it's something else. Let's talk about it in a second. So first of all, you have a 3-band EQ, which is an active EQ, so it boosts and cuts. And now we're talking about bass, mids, and treble. Then, of course, there's a gain, clearly, and a volume, which has a lot of volume on tap. Like, this was unity for me, and this is like, what, 10 o'clock setting? So it does have a lot of headroom. You can run it on 18 volts as well if you want even more headroom, but honestly, for my rig and for my playing, 9 volts work perfectly. So I'll stick to that. So let's talk about this modeling knob. Nowadays, when you hear the word modeling, you think of something that emulates something else, right? Like an amp model, a cabinet model, mic modeling, whatever we're talking about. This is none of those things. This is, I would describe this as a presence knob, which kind of makes the pedal work for whichever amp. So if you have something that's really warm sounding and doesn't really have a lot of jingle and presence, then you can definitely crank this and get all the openness that you want for like a direct drive sound, which is something that this pedal is really good at. Then there's a two-way toggle switch, the 50 watt, 100 watt, this one right here. It's not like the pedal becomes louder on 100 watts. What it does is emulating the way a smaller amp and a bigger rock amp, like a 100 watt Marshall JSM 800 or whatever, would work. Which means that in the 50 watt setting, compared to the 100 watt setting, you have less drive, a little less low end, less bigness, less big amp sound, if you know what I mean. And also the cleanup is ridiculous. In the 100 watt setting, you have much more gain, more low end, a thicker tone, so it's like a big rock amp all of a sudden. And the cleanup with the guitar's volume in the 100 watt setting doesn't really go super clean. It will work, it sounds really nice, but it's more of a crunchy kind of roll back tone and not the super sparkly clean. So it really gives you two very different vibes depending on what kind of tones you are going for in that specific song or in your band, or with, I don't know, if you have two guitars, you want to use them differently. So nice. And then there's the compression mini toggle, which has 3 settings. In the middle, it's the least amount of compression, and also the least amount of gain, and also the most amount of volume, obviously, because it uses the whole headroom of the pedal, which means that you can really get super loud and super quiet with the same setting without touching anything, just by hitting the strings harder or just being super subtle. In the left setting, you have a bit more compression. It's still very subtle. So this is what I would call like a best of both worlds kind of setting. It still does not sound compressed and has a lot of the dynamic range of the middle setting, but it kind of helps already, for example, single coil guitars to be less pokey with more gain. So that's already a really sweet thing. And if you want all the gain in the maximum compression setting, you do feel that that's a big difference compared to the other 2 settings. You have much more compression, but also much more gain. It just sounds more like a rock pedal compared to a blues pedal or like a blues rock pedal. So it's a very organic way of making the pedal feel and sound right for whatever you want to play with it. My impressions and thoughts on the 80 Master, it's a very creamy sounding pedal. Doesn't really matter what you do with the EQ knobs or with the modeling. It never becomes harsh. There's no fizziness on top, which is something that you might like or not. It's just something that a lot of drive pedals do have, that kind of fizziness. And this does not have, not even remotely, any of that. So that is very interesting. I really like it because it also sounds unique in a way already because of that. Especially if you're using the pedal with something like a Fender Blackface amp, which like those really have some crazy sparkle on top, and with most drives they just become a bit too fizzy. And I can totally see this being a perfect match for like a cool blues or rock sound, and you can definitely make it work thanks to these two, the modeling and the treble not sitting too high on the frequency range as told. And if you really want to go for that 80s vibe, throw a chorus in there somewhere, maybe a stereo delay and reverb and everything, and come on. If you follow my channel and watch my reviews, you know that I always try to find something that I can criticize or wish it did in a different way. And I'm kind of struggling here because honestly, it does everything that I expect from it and then some. All right, thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the 80 Master. I think it looks really, really cool too. Yeah, take it easy. See you next week in a new video, and as told, meet you down there in the comments. Bye-bye.